all day.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Ship Flip channel. I wanted to talk to you about this coronavirus is here, and it's sending a scare across America. I'm not sure that it's a warranted scare quite yet, but it might be. I mean, especially if you're elderly or kind of a young person or medically compromised in any way. It's definitely scary anytime something like this happens. And even though that we can look at past instances like SARS and all of that, we've never really had one that we weren't able to contain. And so, I think personally the anxiety comes from like, what if we aren't able to contain this one? I think modern medicine has done a very good job helping us get there quickly, but on this one, we never know. Like one of these times, there could be one that mutated and changed to the point that we can't beat it quickly. I mean, HIV is an evolving virus like that, and it continuously mutates itself so that it's immune to any type of treatment. And so if something like the flu took that form, there would be some major issues. But I'm not a medical expert or anything. I just kind of wanted to put it out there that laughing at the fear is just as bad as being totally involved in it. But if you're somewhere in the middle like me, then you can kind of step back and look at this type of thing, through a different lens. But how does this in any way have anything to do with reselling? Well, this week, a lot of people started reselling. Well, actually, in the last month or so, a lot of people started with the masks, right? And there was a lot of overpricing on the surgical masks. And eBay really wasn't pulling these things, and we didn't consider it a nationwide crisis at the time. And that's, to me, why it was perfectly okay in the early days to sell that, because not only are the masks not effective, but neither is the hand sanitizer or any of that. And that was the next step. People started moving on to hand sanitizer and disinfecting wipes. And just to let you know, eBay started sending out some messages saying that, putting things like coronavirus cure or defense against the coronavirus or mentioning COVID-19 or whatever, any of those type of things in your listing would put up a red flag and get you pulled. But they didn't really say that they cared too much about pricing. And then they changed their tone as this thing got more and more widespread, or at least there were cases that were popping up in America, right? And so that's whenever eBay really started to kind of enforce some things there. But then Amazon really started to step in saying that we're going to delete listings. Well, I didn't get any notifications because I kept my prices low and I didn't really dip too much into that. But I will, knock on wood, hopefully mine's not coming. But I know several people that got emails this morning saying that they had accounts that were under review or accounts that were suspended, or in some cases they were banned altogether from Amazon. And after talking to many, many people, we thought, well, maybe it had to do with sales volume up until you started doing this. Like if they saw a giant spike all of a sudden, they would know right away. Well, we found that there were people that make, thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales, and they got the letter too. So what we narrowed this down to was it was for the pricing. It was for the price gouging, and that they were reviewing accounts and banning people for price gouging based on certain Purell listings that had sales over a certain dollar amount for what they were allowed. Now, just so you know, Amazon will block listings whenever you're trying to attempt to overprice it due to pricing errors. That should be your first indication that you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, because those are the warnings that went out ahead of time, and listings got blocked. And then if you lowered the price a little bit, you were able to put it in. Well, that ended up resulting in people selling stuff. And then on those same listings, Amazon came back and gave them an email saying, hey, you broke the rules. So that should be your first sign that you're doing something you shouldn't be doing. But also, you should know that that was the only thing that we could find that really one person did that others didn't. And it had to do with who sold yesterday. So if you sold before that, you probably didn't wake up to an email today. But I talked to them and they told me, we needed a POA. Well, I didn't even know what a POA was. In my world, a POA is a power of attorney, but actually in the Amazon world, a POA is a plan of action. And so Amazon, these people that got the suspended accounts and the review accounts things, they called into Amazon, they talked to them about it, and basically they made them kind of jump through some hoops and say that they weren't going to do this kind of stuff again. They also made them, acknowledge what they did was wrong, and it was kind of like a slap on the wrist type thing. But that should let you know what the real reasoning was behind this, and that the price gouging is what Amazon was after. It was specifically related to the prices, and they definitely went after these sellers, not based on sales volume, not based on anything except for a multitude of sales at a higher price point than Amazon wanted to allow for a certain product. Now we're talking $2 to $3 bottles of Purell that people were selling for $80, $90, $100 a bottle. So that is why the crackdown started to happen. If you ask me personally, I don't think hand sanitizer is something that should be considered a needed commodity during this type of crisis, because hand soap actually works better, and hand sanitizer doesn't even necessarily kill the COVID-19 virus. And the surgical masks, as the Surgeon General and other doctors have come out and stated, they won't protect you against the virus either. These are for people that are already sick to stop the spread. And so maybe that does help stop the spread, but it won't stop people that are in panic mode from getting the virus if they're coughed on or if they come in contact with it. These type of half measures, they just don't work. And so if you're capitalizing on someone's paranoia, that's different to me than capitalizing on a tragic event or something like that. But personally, I'm done with it all. There will be no Purell selling. There will be no mask selling. I won't get into any of that now, because these accounts are too valuable to me in the long run. And yeah, the great Purell flood of 2020 was great, and a lot of people made a lot of money on it, but you should pull out now and just delete any listings that you sold that are out of stock on those products, and just move on from it. Because if you continue to touch the hot stove, eventually you will get burned. And there's guys that are going to get burned today for selling it, because I see listings that are up there for still $119 a bottle. They probably think that other people are just selling out, but other people are actually starting to pull their listings and not sell this stuff. Warning, danger, do not continue to do this. You will get suspended, banned, or in trouble a multitude of other ways. And the other thing is, people that are receiving the products are starting to return them and or throw up a stink about it, and that is causing you to not really get to collect the money that you got from the sale that you made 2-3 days ago. And I think people will continue to do that as well. But just so you know, there's not really room to panic yet, but you should definitely stop doing this if you've been doing it. Because the banned accounts, I think I saw the number was at like 10,000 banned Amazon accounts for this. And eBay's doing the same thing. We saw a thing that said they're going to delete all listings for masks, sanitizer, and Clorox wipes as well. And they're just going to completely ban the sale of those. So just get out while you can. If you made some money, that's great. Just turn it over and don't be greedy. Don't continue to do this because you will end up in a world of trouble. And it'll probably take you a lawyer to get out of it. But the moral of this story here that I wanted to say is that you shouldn't be in panic mode completely, because the people I've talked to were able to get themselves out of it. In fact, one of the guys that I know got his account suspended was able to get it reinstated later today by kind of jumping through these hoops and talking to Amazon reps and working with seller support and explaining to them that you understand that this is against policy and that you won't do it again. But how many of those chances do you really think you'll get? Probably not a lot. So you shouldn't touch that hot stove too many more times, or you might just burn your hand, okay? So I just wanted to let you know that that's kind of what's going on. Amazon is suspending and banning people for this type of activity. I didn't really price gouge as much as other people, but knock on wood, my prices were still higher than they were buying it at the stores. And there was a lot of work involved getting this to the customers, but this is something that you want to stop doing. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and subscribe to the page. But in the meantime, go ahead and like the video, comment on some things that you sold, or if you had any problems selling on Amazon and you got banned or suspended because of this great Purell flood. But if not, in the meantime, like I said, subscribe to the page and keep on flipping.